Okay, guys, what we're going to do is I'm going to explain to you how to set this up. Let's go ahead and close the code. Let's start it just so you can see what's going on. So it starts off reading the temperature, and I can mess with the temp. It's a little slow to write it, but it's fine. Okay. Now if I click this button, it'll read the darkness or lightness. Okay, it's light. Then I could switch back to the temp, switch to the light. What you guys are going to do on your own is you're going to set up these LEDs to have one of them have on for light and one of them have on for dark. I'm going to explain to you how the code works because this is a little tricky. So the circuit's really nothing crazy. You have most of this ready. I just made these two buttons, and I hooked one button up here to pin 7, I think, and I hooked this one to pin 6, and I just set it up like you normally set up buttons. And yeah, you could pause it. I'll zoom in a little bit and you could pause the video. Just pause it so you could set it up right. Okay, just go ahead and pause it. All right, and that's about it. And I could show you up here. Again, you could pause it. Okay, you might want to look up here because you don't have that yet. You're going to have to put that in, all right? All right, cool. So that's the basic circuit. There's a lot going on here, but that's the basic circuit. Let's see here. All right. Okay. Oops. Let's go back to here. Let's make sure everything works. All right, everything's good. So that's the circuit. Everything's good. You guys are going to have to program this yourself. So let me show you the code because the code is kind of wacky. I like Notepad++. To code in that, it's really good. So I'll go through all this code, what's going here. Let's just take it step at a time. First things first, start out with defining, your liquid crystal object. Define two states. It's called temp disp 0 and light disp at 1. So what this will do is these two guys are going to say, all right, well, I know that whenever I want to display my temp, I'm 0, and whenever I want to display my light, I'm going to have 1. Okay, and then here we go ahead and we define our weather button pins, okay? So let's do that different color. Great. This is just setting up our initial state. So our initial state is going to be temp disp until I click a button, and then I'm going to change it to light disp, right? Our sensor pins we have already. Our light valves we had already. So all of this stuff, let's just, let's see here. We'll just make it purple. We had all this already, right? We had all this already, except that. So this is all old code, and this stuff was the new code, okay? I should actually make the new code all one color. So that's all the new code. Great. So is this. Okay, don't forget about that. Let's see. Clear all styles. Let me see. So this, and this are new. Forgive me, it's the first time I'm using this, so I'm not very good at it. And let's see, light count, all of this stuff was the old stuff. Okay, that's all old stuff, that's new stuff. Great. Fantastic. Let's move on. All right, setup. Again, it's the same type of setup. You're going to have to set up your button pins when you can. I'm not doing that for you. So you actually don't even need to, but you should. I'm not going to do it. My buttons still work even though I didn't set them up. So there's nothing really new here. All right, this is where the new stuff is. So we said int temp state equals, AJ, just let me do this, okay? Int temp state equals digital read, weather button pin. So what this does, this temp state is going to read from the weather button pin. It's going to either read 1 if I pressed it or 0 if it's not pressed. This light state is going to read 1 if I pressed it, 0 if I didn't press it. Okay, so you're saying if temp state is 1, that means we pressed our temperature. we set the state to temp disp. So we want to display our temp, right? If the light state is 1, then we set our state to light disp. That means we want to display our light, okay? Everything's all good. Now we check to see what is our state equal to. If the state is equal to light disp, that means we press the light disp button, right? And the light disp button is, let's see, whatever it is, light button pin. If I press that, I'm going to call the light sensor function. And I'm going to actually, I'm not going to change it. It's going to stay there until I hit another button. Okay? And then I'm going to make the old temp 0. The reason why I do this is basically when I change to the light, I'm resetting the temp. I'm just clearing out what the temp was, so it redraws it again. That's all I'm doing. If I don't do that, I get a lot of flickering with my temp. So that's just to deal with flickering. Okay, if state is temp, you just display the temp. So these are just calling functions based on what state I have. If I had more states, I could say if state is whatever, call that function. If state is heat temp, call the heat temp. If state is gas temp, call the gas temp. Whatever you want. So that's what this is doing. All right, temperature sensor code. So I had to change this a little bit. This stuff's pretty much all the same. The stuff that was different was this. So basically what I did was, if you go to the top here, I said float old temp instead of int old temp so I could store the decimal points. Otherwise, if you say int temp, it gets messed up. And this right here, this you don't need. So that you actually get rid of. And then what I did is this. I said, all right, well, where are we? I'm calculating my temp here. So since I defined it here, I don't need it up top. You shouldn't put stuff up top if you don't need it to. So you get your temperature and you say if old temp isn't equal to temp. So my old temp, I changed it, right? I say lcd.setCursor, then that clears out the line. Set cursor, clear out the second line. So clear out the first line, clear out the second line. Make old temp the current temp, and then go ahead and set the cursor 0, 0, do the temperature in F, and 0, 1, and then print the temperature. Now the reason why, again, if I get rid of this line right here where I don't reset the old temp, it actually, when I click the temperature button, it won't work because the previous temp and the new temp are the same. I'd have to click the temperature button and then change the temperature to get the temperature to show up. That's not how it's supposed to work. I should just click the temperature button and see the temperature. That changing the temp thing is bad. So that's why we did that. And the light sensor is the same. I didn't change that code at all. So it's exactly the same as from before. Okay? So this function is exactly the same. It's if old light val isn't equal to light val, again, you change it, right? So it's almost exactly the same as the other one. Yeah, it's almost nearly the same. And let's see here. Yep. And that's it. That's all that's going on. It's pretty straightforward. Hopefully it makes sense. I'm going to give you a little worksheet to ask you basically like what's going on in this code. So the overview is you define your variables you need. You set up your stuff. In the loop, you take care of what button did I press, and based on what button I pressed, I want to display the right stuff. So you might say, well, where am I going to do the LED stuff? In here. So if state is light disp, you want to turn on the LED that shows the light is being read. And then in this one, you want to turn on LED that shows the temp is being read. So I'll leave you up to that on your own. Okay, so that's everything. Hopefully that made sense. It's a little complicated because, as you can see, it's a pretty big project, right? This is a pretty big project, but everything works really nicely. Let's change that up. We can change that. See, it changes in real time, which is really neat. And then it's light. Pretty cool. Yeah, everything works. Everything works great. All right. So thanks for watching.